A good example of this is Elon Musk is really famous for challenging his rocket engineers at SpaceX to complete a project in 6 months that they initially claimed would take 10 years. They all came to him with all these different proposals, and everybody said that this would take 10 years to build the kind of rocket that he wanted to build. And he goes, nah, not good enough. Can you do it in 6 months? And what he told those teams is that, okay, well, I would be better off if I hired you to do it in 6 months. And if it doesn't get done, I'll fire you and go find another team. He knew that in that instance, he would probably be more likely to get that done in less than 10 years by just having that high of standard. Otherwise, they actually delivered the project, their third engineering team, in just 8 months. Parkinson's law essentially says that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if you give yourself 8 hours to finish a task, you'll probably take 8 hours. But if you create a deadline of 2 hours, you'd be shocked at how much more likely it is that you get it done in 2. And ultimately, at the end of this, I'm going to share a way that you can leverage these principles to be able to make real progress in your business starting today. Yo, welcome back to the channel, guys. Jordan here, co-host of the Fitness Business Podcast. Let's jump right into it. Let's not waste any time. I want to just provide some massive value to y'all today. And what we're going to talk about is how you can stop wasting time, energy, resources, money, all of those things, and how you can use 3 specific principles to speed up success, learn faster, work smarter, and leverage tools and people around you to get more shit done in less time with less energy. So what we're going to talk about are 3 totally transformative ideas that I've learned and been able to implement in our own business that honestly are paramount to allowing us to go from, well, long story short, we've done over $40 million in sales now in the online health and fitness business or online health and fitness industry. 5 million of that was in our own online health coaching company that we eventually sold. And now we run a company that we're doing, close to $800,000 a month. And frankly, we have an amazing team. I don't have to work that hard. And a lot of it comes down to leveraging these 3 principles that I'm going to talk about today, which is number 1, how Richard Bandler's fire hose learning method can accelerate your growth. I'll explain what that means. Number 2, what efficiency means and how to create efficiency using the simplest solutions. And I call this the ladder effect. Number 3 is how Parkinson's law works. Maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but it's how creating time constraints can unlock insane productivity, but not just time, other constraints. And ultimately, at the end of this, I'm going to share a way that you can leverage these principles to be able to make real progress in your business starting today. Let's jump in. So to kick this off, backstory, I learned this the hard way, right? So I kind of came up in business always feeling overwhelmed just by the sheer amount of things that you think you have to do, right? There's always a laundry list. And it seems like as your business grows and starts to become kind of successful, it's like this overwhelming pile of just tasks and problems and to-dos that it becomes paralyzing, right? I've been there. And I used to overanalyze everything where I spend more time thinking about what I should be doing instead of just doing. Maybe you can relate. And so I would always think that the more I did, the better results that I would get, which can work in some cases, right? But that approach left me, overworked, scattered, and honestly not making as much progress as I wanted until I started to shift the way that I thought. So there's one book that I came across. It's by a guy named Richard Bandler, and it's called Frogs and Princes. And he talks about learning and how if you're learning information and you feel as if you're like drinking from a fire hose, that's good. You're not meant to catch every single drop, but the sheer intensity of learning in that kind of way will cause you to retain and level up and actually learn more shit as compared to like, oh, this is overwhelming, so I want to slow down, right? And that's why I really like to teach in this way. I like to just fire hose people because people tend to retain more that way as compared to like, whoa, let's slow the shit down. Let's do one step at a time. It changed the way that I thought about growth. So this is the big idea number 1, all right? Learning at higher intensity. I call this the Bandler effect. And so he believed in teaching at such a high level that even if only like 30% stuck, you would learn faster and more than a slow drip of easier lessons. It's about immersing yourself in an environment that challenges you to grow exponentially, right? So a good example is like, instead of like skimming podcasts or dabbling in YouTube videos, you want to dive into a higher caliber mastermind or whatever the case or mentorship program where the pace and intensity forces you to keep up. That's like one example. And another way to think about this is we have these things called myelin sheaths. These myelin sheaths are essentially neuroconnections that are formed, and they form at a much greater clip when you're learning at a higher intensity, where you're a little bit overwhelmed, you're a little bit scared, you're a little bit like this is a lot, that forces an emotional response, a adrenaline to kick in and these myelin sheaths form at a much higher rate as compared to like learning at a very comfortable pace, right? Another example could just be like, 30 to 60 minutes a day, you're consuming expert level material, even if it feels above your head. You'd be amazed at how quickly your brain starts to pick up things and connect dots, okay? So don't be like, oh, I'm gonna slow it down and make sure I understand everything. Like, no, dude, just fucking go through it and then over and over and over, and your brain will pick things up. And ultimately, because learning at higher intensity accelerates growth because it forces your brain to process information faster and adapt. All right, the number 2 thing, efficiency. Okay, so a lot of us are doing certain things in our business consistently that don't serve the outcome that we're looking for, right? Our business, we should be focused on activities that grow revenue. Right? Revenue is the ultimate milestone, revenue and profit of how well our business is doing. And the better our business does, the more people that we ultimately help. And so a lot of times we're like dabbling in these different projects or these different initiatives or whatever the case, but none of these things are creating the result that you want, because a lot of times we don't even know what the result is we're after, right? It's like, oh, I want to improve my community. I want to, do this to my product. I want to, start posting on this other channel. And it's like, well, okay, you can do those things, but what are going to be the levers that we can pull that are going to give us the highest ROI with the least amount of inputs? Time inputs, money inputs, right? That should be the goal always. And so think about it like this. Efficiency is not about doing everything. It's about finding the simplest solution to get the outcome that you want. Okay, good example is like, think about you're climbing a tree to get an apple, okay? And your goal is to get this apple off of a tree. You could try scaling up the bark, right, to get there. You could try shaking the tree to get the apple out. Or you could just get a ladder, lean it against the tree, climb up and get the apple. And you'd be shocked at when I use this example with different people, I'm like, what's the easiest way to get this apple out of the tree? And, every now and then somebody will be like, well, why don't you just get a ladder, right? Because most people are like, oh, shake the tree or, this, that. And it's like, no, dude, just get a goddamn ladder. Be resourceful. And so a good example is if like, let's say your goal is getting more leads for your business. Okay, you could DM tons of people who are strangers. You could just post endless content. You could go to networking events. Those things all can work, but I would look at a ladder as learning how to build an ad campaign that consistently feeds you leads, right? Or investing in a program where you can learn how to generate leads on autopilot, right? That's why I love ads. And I'm not saying those other things can't work and aren't effective and important, but it's not the shortest path from A to Z. And so just an actionable audit here that I would challenge you to do is just look at your daily tasks, right? In a week, write down everything that you do. Every 15 minutes, write down whatever you were doing. Or you can use softwares like Toggle or time tracking, and then come back and say, okay, what of these things can be streamlined with a tool or a system? Can I pay somebody to do, or that I just shouldn't be doing in general because it's not contributing the outcome that I'm looking for? Because look, your time and energy are finite. So focusing on solutions that minimize effort while maximizing output, that's the habit we need to get into. I think it was Bill Gates said like, it's best to give a big job to a lazy person because they're going to figure out the best way to do it. So here's a big idea number 3. All right, this is called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law essentially says that work expands to fill the time available for its completion, right? So if you give yourself 8 hours to finish a task, you'll probably take 8 hours. But if you create a deadline of 2 hours, you'd be shocked at how much more likely it is that you get it done in 2. A good example of this is Elon Musk is really famous for challenging his rocket engineers at SpaceX to complete a project in 6 months that they initially claimed would take 10 years. Think about that. They all came to him with all these different proposals, and everybody said that this would take 10 years to build the kind of rocket that he wanted to build. And he goes, nah, not good enough. Can you do it in 6 months? And what he told those teams is that, okay, well, I would be better off if I hired you to do it in 6 months, and if it doesn't get done or it's not on pace, I'll fire you and go find another team. He knew that in that instance, he would probably be more likely to get that done in less than 10 years by just having that high of standard otherwise. And guess what? They actually delivered the project, their third engineering team, hiring and firing 3 people, they delivered it in just 8 months, right? So here's an actionable way to do this. Set timers for your tasks, right? I keep this little shot clock timer on my desk right here. And every time I sit down and I work on a project, and I think, how long is it going to take? I cut that time in half, set a timer, and that's how long I have to work on it. Number 2, investing in a program or mastermind or coaching program like IFCA or one of the other good ones. Just make sure you find a good one. When I say a good one, somebody that's been around for 5+ years. All right, that's the easiest way to know, because this industry doesn't lie. If there's so many companies that get into it 1, 2 years, 3 years, but if you've been able to sustain for 5+ years, like, you're doing something right. We've been doing this now for 8, 7 technically. So like, we're probably pretty good at it. And so anyways, investing in a program that specifically has a defined end date that therefore creates extrinsic pressure. This is why our accelerator program is 90 days instead of 6 months or 12 months. We'd probably make more money if we just sold a year-long program or a 6-month. In fact, we did sell a 6-month at one point, but what we found is our students got better results in 3, right? Because there's urgency. We have deadlines. We're holding people accountable. And you know that, hey, I've just paid this large sum of money to get this result in 3 months. And so the bottom line is constraints force you to prioritize the highest leverage activities and eliminate unnecessary steps, and it will allow you to achieve results faster. So tying this all together, right? We've talked about efficiency, resourcefulness, mastering your time. These principles will help you to move faster and achieve bigger results without burning out. And it's not just business strategies, right? This applies in all areas of your life, right? They're how you scale your impact, reach more people, build better relationships, have a better partnership with your spouse, all of those things. But I want to just go ahead and sign off here with a very important announcement, all right? I want to tell you about our Make America Healthy Again grant program. So while politicians right now are debating all of these solutions with our massive health crisis, we're taking huge action, right? 70% of Americans right now are overweight. They have preventable diseases. And the work that you're doing as a health and fitness coach has never been more important, in my opinion. And it's never been more of an opportune time. Okay, especially with the current administration, the MAHA movement, people becoming more aware, we're just becoming more aware as a society. And I think coaching is just going to boom because of that. In fact, they expect online health and fitness coaching to grow by 35% year over year. It's going to go from a $39 billion industry in 2019. They expect it to be at 430 by 2030. It's huge growth. So what we want to do is to empower coaches like you to be able to scale your impact, make more money, create more freedom. And in doing so, we're going to invest $200,000 into a grant program. And basically the way this works is we're going to pick 2 full ride grant recipients into our 90-day business accelerator. We're going to give you the complete proven client engine system and one-on-one success coaching. And then we're also going to give out 20 partial grants to be able to join our program at a fraction of the normal investment. We say 20, but it's probably going to be a lot more than that. We have 200,000 to give away. So whatever we got to do to give that much away. All right. So look, if you're ready to scale your impact and you want to scale your business faster than you could ever do on your own and help to solve America's health crisis, all I'm asking you to do is go to impactcoachacademy.com/MAHA. That's MAHA -2025. Or you can just click the link in the show notes, right? If that's easier. But again, it's impactcoachacademy.com/MAHA, MAHA-2025, or just click the link in the show notes. But listen, don't wait. The deadline is this Sunday at midnight, all right? So if you're listening to this, it's this Sunday, right? It's January 20 something. It's this Sunday, so you only have a few days left as you're listening to this. Make sure to get on there, apply, and who knows, you might end up becoming a winner. Hey, y'all, quick interruption. While politicians debate healthcare policy, we're taking direct action to try to help to solve America's health crisis because the reality is bleak. 70% of American adults right now are overweight or obese. Healthcare costs continue to skyrocket and preventable diseases remain the leading cause of death. Okay, so we believe that health and fitness coaches are uniquely positioned to create an immediate impact with this problem. That's why we're investing $200,000 through our Make America Healthy Again grant program to equip elite coaches with proven systems to be able to make more money and serve more people. So we're going to be selecting 2 coaches for full ride grants into our 90-day business accelerator, where you're going to get our complete client engine system, personal one-on-one success coaching, and everything that you need to have fast success. Plus, we're going to be choosing 20 to 30, maybe 40 partial grant recipients that'll be chosen to join at a fraction of our normal investment. So if you're passionate about solving America's health and obesity crisis, and you want to just create more freedom, impact, income beyond what you'd be able to do on your own, here's what to do. Visit impactcoachacademy.com/MAHA, that's MAHA-2025. Or if you're listening to this podcast or YouTube, you can click the link in the show notes to apply. It takes less than 3 minutes, but don't wait. The deadline to apply is this Sunday, January 26th at midnight. All right, I'll see you guys over there.